So you want to know about rainbow sharks? Well, good, because when I'm done with you, we're going to have you as clued up as Steve Irwin, but hopefully alive. In this care guide series, I'm going to be covering every fish I've ever kept or researched. And the aim is ideally to get them under 5 minutes apiece. The most important thing you need to think about when you have rainbow sharks is they need a lot of floor space. I would be aiming for at least a 4-foot tank by the 1.5 year mark. I had them in a 60cm tank when I first got them, but they soon outgrew it, so make sure you've got the space for them. And remember, they don't need up, they need along. For the temperature, I typically keep them about 26, but they can go up to 30 if you want to pair them with discus, but they want to be at 26 really. If you have it any higher than 26, you do have a risk of them being quite lethargic, and we want the best for our fish and we want to see them active. So let's talk about the scape and the plants. You want to have a lot of hides, right? You need hides, especially if you have a group. We've got loads of places here for them to hide. So I've got one of my normal ones, chills around this area and around there. We've got one albino, she chills over there. This albino, this one here, the big boy, he chills around here, and then the other black one chills around the back of here. When you're making your scape, you want to have a lot of territory, and you want to aim for broadleaf plants like the Anubias, Echinodoris, things that they can sort of hide within. So as you can see there, that's them having a little straightener. This is typical territorial behaviour. They're not hating each other, they're not angry, they're just living. They're basically just saying to each other, get out of my space. This is my space. This is normal. In fact, I would go as far as to say this is healthy behaviour. Well, that was good timing, because the next part is behaviour, right? For their groups, look, don't keep them in twos. It's just not a good idea. I mean, I don't like to keep fish as ones. I don't like to keep them on their own, right? You got feature fish like the old eels, old Bonte here. He doesn't mind it, right? There would probably be some issues if there was another one in here for the size of the tank. But for the rainbow sharks, I don't like keeping them in ones, you know what I mean? Imagine being the only species of your kind in a tank, right? It's pretty sad. So I keep them in a group, right? You want to be aiming for 4. I think 4 is the magic number. They say to not buy them in any less than 3s, but I think 4 is the magic number, because if you think about it, tanks are square, aren't they? They're square. So have a corner each near enough, didn't they? You know, the 2 black ones over there and the 2 white ones sort of here. Although he's getting a bit friendly today, isn't he? They're not really aggressive fish. They're pretty good. Look, they have their little spats and they sort of play around, but you see how they don't attack anything really. Look, that leads us on perfectly to Tankmates. You may not believe it, but you can have them with quite a lot of fish. So as you can see, and what you need to remember is these are bottom feeders. They lurk at the bottom of the tank. So that would be the exact reason why my angels here are safe. The angels sort of stay up here in the middle and the top of the tank, whereas the rainbow sharks are always sifting the sand, just like the Corydoras. The Corydoras are very passive. They're not really an apex predator, so they don't mind them. See, they interact with each other, and it's really nice. In terms of this catfish here, this is a African glass catfish. He's just a friendly guy. It's all about, if you have an aggressive fish or another very dominant fish, they're not going to get on well with the rainbow sharks. But if you have very passive fish like the tetras or the Corydoras or the African glass catfish, they're going to mind their business. Let's talk about the big fish, right? We've got a fire eel. Now, why doesn't the fire eel cause a problem in this tank? Well, there's a quick answer. He's absolutely massive. Compared to them, he's a big old boy. And quite frankly, they don't want to mess with him. And as you can see here, Bonte, our fire eel, is not very aggressive. They're very passive fish. Was it a fish? I guess it is a fish, but it's an eel. We have got, although you can't really see them all that well, we have a massive pleco, and I tell you what, they're big. They're about this big. Got 2 of them in here. But it's again the same sort of thing with the eel to the plecos. They're so big that they don't want to mess with them, but they're also so passive that they're not a threat to the rainbow sharks. So it's all about finding that balance. If you want a quick answer, go for top swimmers, passive fish, bottom feeders, Corydoras. Don't put them with loaches. It might be a bit big, might feel threatened, and just don't put them with other big bottom feeders, basically. You know, apart from your plecos, they'll be all right. So, speaking of size, right? How big do they get? When you buy them, they're diddy, right? They're absolutely tiny. Like I said, these are about 3.5 years old. They do grow up to about 6 inches, and some have been known to grow up to 8 inches, which is fairly large for a fish. So make sure you've got the space for it. Do not buy these buggers. They're tiny. Do not buy these buggers if you're not looking to have a 4-foot tank or a 5-foot tank. I personally like to give my fish more space than they need. You know, that's their world. Make it as big as you can. Imagine if you was cooped up in this box for your entire existence. So get a big tank. They will get big, but my God, they're beautiful fish, especially when they do get bigger and they start building these characters and they start coming up to the glass. You're gonna love it. I know, but this is the part of the video where I'm going to have to shamelessly plug my side hustle. So Husky Prints is a passion of mine that I've had for a long time, and I've just released the first collection of Aquarist, fish keeper apparel. We will be expanding, but as of right now, we do just have the Aquarist stuff. I'm looking to expand all of my hobbies first, and then I'm going to start researching other people's interests to bring more to the table. So if it looks like your kind of vibe, it's in the description, go check it out. I almost forgot the most important part. What do you feed them? What do you feed them? Well, look, there's a plethora of things you can feed these fish. They're not too fussy. Off the bat, I'm going to tell you what I feed them. Granules, the sinkable ones. Flakes, your money's no good here. I personally feed them the Tetra Prima granules. No, I'm not sponsored, but this is what I feed them. Cost me about 15 quid for this. They did used to do the big ones. I used to buy the big ones, but they stopped doing them, which is a shame. But I feed them that. Now, other things you can feed them, bloodworms, brine shrimp, all sorts of those frozen cubes. They do not mind whatsoever. As long as it goes to the bottom, they're going to eat it. Here she is, old Polka. I feel like this one really likes me. But yeah, that's what you feed them. Basically anything you want. But look. I think we're running out of time. Now you know how to keep them. I couldn't recommend them enough. They are probably one of my favourite fish, based on how interactive they are, how chill they are, and just how pretty they are. I mean, I personally prefer the black and red ones because they look a bit cooler, let's be honest. But these white ones just got so much character to them. The albinos, white ones, the albinos. So I'm not going to touch breeding in this video, but maybe in the future we'll think about a breeding guide. This is just a care guide. With all that out of the way, I'm going to leave you with an infographic here, somewhere here. Make sure to leave a like and a subscribe if you like this content. And leave a comment in the description of what fish you want done next. It's going to be either the butterfly fish or, where they gone? The angelfish. Or if I get loads of comments about a specific fish, then maybe we'll do that one. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.